This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
The headlines: the Noto National Liberation Front condemns the actions of armed authorities on the religious compounds of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ. According to the MNLF Davao City State Chairman, such violent acts, if proven true, are deemed unacceptable and violate the Islamic doctrine. Meanwhile, many Filipinos are in favor of 3 Dutertes gunning for senatorial seats in the upcoming midterm elections. According to a former palace official, these voters are longing for a Duterte brand of leadership amid the rising cases of criminalities and drug. And conflicting statements on the latest Ayungin Shoal incident in the West Philippine Sea, a product of PBBM's weak leadership. According to a political writer and commentator, the president's silence on the issue is tarnishing the country's international image. I'm Frederico Velloso. Newsline World starts now. The state chairman of MNLF Davao City is outraged over the alleged violent police raid on the religious compounds of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ. For the MNLF state chairman, the police violent actions, if true, would be considered a grave violation of Islamic doctrine. Franco Baranda reports.
As far as the Islamic doctrines is concerned regarding warfare, itong jihad fisabilillah, attacking civilians is haram.
The actions by the police at the Kingdom of Jesus Christ religious compounds in Davao City are seen as unacceptable and a serious violation of the Muslim doctrine. On June 10, police forces reportedly stormed the religious compounds with excessive force, causing intense fear and trauma among missionaries. Armed with high-caliber firearms, their approach appeared more suited to war. MNLF Davao State Chairman Aziz Monk Olamit strongly denounced the government's handling of Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy. He also commended KOJC missionaries for their steadfast resolve despite the ongoing threat of police intervention at their religious compounds.
Sa lahat ng mga member dyan sa KOJC, saludo ako sa inyo lahat for your sacrifices. Sa ginawa ninyo day and night to protect the kingdom at saka kay pastor, dahil minahal ni pastor ang lahat ng tao niya sa KOJC at binalik niyo sa kanya ang pagmamahal. Talagang nakakatouch. Napaluha tayo sa sakripisyo ng mga lahat ng mga member dyan ng KOJC. Tawagin natin itong mga devote. Sana ganyan ang taong bayan ng Pilipinas. Magsakripisyo sila. Despite of heavy rain, nandyan sila.
Yes.
That's a sign of sincerity. Talagang totoo sila.
KOJC missionaries are experiencing sleepless nights and they hardly have any rest due to constant surveillance and the growing presence of checkpoints by soldiers and police near their religious compounds. They remain vigilant amid the threat of another attack. The MNLF state chairman couldn't help but shed tears over the actions of Marcos Jr.'s administration towards his dear friend Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy.
Para sa aking kaibigan na si Pastor Apollo Kibuloy, you are still presumed innocent. Yung maggawa ng mga stories o fitna issues against you, which is not proven, you are still presumed innocent. At hindi naman ako naniwala talaga dyan. As a Muslim, we salute you and we are always at your side. Just be strong. Ang lahat na ito ay huhupa din. May hangganan din ang lahat ng ito. Huwag kang mag-alala, nandito pa rin kami, lahat ng kapatid mo. We are still on your side.
Monk is also calling on those responsible for the recent police violence, reminiscent of what former President Rodrigo Duterte termed the Day of Infamy.
Matats ang the entire organization ng PNP.
Yeah.
Na siguro do not be enticed by money, whatever, ano diyan.
Tama.
Kasi pamilya, kapatid din niyo yan, pamilya din ninyo ang mga tao yan. They're both humans. Kamagwak, hindi natin alam, kamag-anak ninyo yan ang nandyan sa loob dyan.
Exactly.
Maawa tayo. Hindi lang niya, just be human. Yun na lang. Magpakatao na lang tayo.
For God and my beloved Philippines, Franco Baranda, SMNI News.
Vice President Duterte shook up the political world after announcing the Duterte family's plans for the upcoming midterm elections, according to a political strategist. A Malacanang official also mentioned that the public cannot be blamed for their excitement about having 3 Dutertes in the Senate, based on VP Sara's announcement. Here are the details from Jason Brubico.
SMNI News gauged the opinions of several citizens in Metro Manila regarding Vice President Sara Duterte's latest announcement that former President Rodrigo Duterte, Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte, and 1st District Representative Paulo Duterte plan to run for the Senate in the upcoming 2025 midterm elections. Most respondents expressed happiness and support for the 3 Dutertes running in the next election.
Ay okay na okay po ako dyan. Talagang ano ako dyan kung tatakbo sila. Para sa akin kasi nakita ko dati nung Pangulo si President Rodrigo Duterte, talagang ang ganda ng ng Pilipinas. Walang mga, alam mo na yung droga, talagang humina yon. Hindi talaga katulad ngayon lantaran Talagang ako doon, 2 kamay ako doon, thumbs up talaga ako.
Dapat ibalik talaga. Talaga na sila dapat ang bubutuhan. Isipin mo ngayon, ikukumpara mo ngayon at saka ang papa niya noon na nakaupo, lahat ng mga nagsasyabo, lahat po yung dyan, hindi mo makikita. Pero ngayon, harap-harapan kahit mga anak ko nakikita nila.
Okay naman po yun para sa akin. Nawala yung mga kriminal, mga adik. Ngayon, ang dami na naman na nakaano sa kalsada
Mas gusto ko nga sa kanila kasi nung time na sila yung namumuno, nabawasan ng mga yung mga adik sa kalsada, yung mga hold-upper, nabawasan talaga. Kumpara sa akin, mas pabor ako na tumakbo bilang senador or presidente. Pwede kasi kaya naman nila Kailangan ng kamay na bakal kasi lalo na sa amin, mga taxi driver. Oo, alanganing oras kami bumibiyahe, inaabot kami ng alanganing oras.
Mas okay nga yun, sir para may balik yung dati. Para maging ulit yung pamumuhay ng mga tao. Maging okay ulit. Masyadong crisis ngayon kasi mataas yung mga bilihin. Mas maganda pag may Duterte, mababa yung mga bilihin at mataas yung sahod. Safe pa yung mga tao.
Gustong-gusto ko si Duterte kasi nakakaminos po kami sa bigas. Sa gastusin po noon. Dapat talaga Duterte ang bumuto natin.
Sa akin gusto kong mabalik si Duterte kasi okay naman yung mamalakad niya.
Malaki naman ang nabago ng Pilipinas dahil kay Pangulong Duterte. Okay. Okay naman po, masaya. Kasi marami rin naman po siyang natanggal ng mga, katulad ng mga kriminal, ng mga drug addict.
According to former Malacanang spokesperson Attorney Harry Roque, the public can't be blamed for being excited about having 3 Dutertes in the Senate, especially since they have experienced the Duterte brand of leadership.
Na-excite ang ating mga kababayan na magkaroon ng 3 Duterte sa Senado dahil alam mo, pansinin mo mga usapan palagi ng taong bayan nung panahon ni Duterte. Alam mo, ako talaga sinasabi ko sa kanila, tapos na yung panahon ni Duterte. Pero masisisi mo ba sila? Kasi nung panahon ni Duterte, may kapayapaan sa mga komunidad. Nung panahon ni Duterte na talagang halos nawala na ang banta ng droga. Nung panahon ni Duterte, napakasigla na ating ekonomiya. Nung panahon ni Duterte, mapayapa ang West Philippine Sea at maunlad ang ating bayan dahil sa mas malakas na kalakalan.
Roque added that one reason for the public's excitement is their disappointment with the Marcos administration, especially the unfulfilled promise like the 20 peso rise.
So masisisi mo ba na talagang hinahanap-hanap ng tao ang Duterte?
Roque also mentioned that the Duterte family is not power-hungry but rather trusted because they have proven their leadership capabilities. As for a political strategist, Vice President Sara Duterte shook up the political world with her latest announcement.
Parang tectonic bang rank yan? Kasi nananahimik tayo, lahat nag-iisip ano ba ang dahilan kung bakit nag-resign. Tapos nung finally nagsalita, 3 Duterte ang tatakbo. Sabi ko, bakit talaga nga naman, nung dati hirap na hirap tayong kumbinsihin yung ilan dyan, ngayon 3 ang tatakbo sa Senado at may isang gustong nagnanais sa 2028.
Malutikia also added that Vice President Duterte's announcement about their family's plans for the upcoming midterm elections was not premature.
Malapit-lapit na yung October 8. Sa tingin ko yan critical announcement. Yung 2028 medyo malayo-layo pa. Pero kung si Mayor Baste nagpapahiwatig ng interes, abay maganda rin yan. Sa tingin ko, minemeasure nila publicly ano ang reaction ng tao. Of course, nahahati yan. Merong maka-Duterte at merong ayaw ang Duterte.
Meanwhile, Vice President Duterte shared that her mother, Elizabeth Zimmerman, said that Mayor Baste Duterte would run for president in the 2028 elections. But the question is the younger Duterte ready to lead the country?
So sa tingin ko naman ay pwede na yan, no? Na isang termino bilang mayor, 3 taon bilang senador, handa na rin siya. No? At hindi lang yan, no? Dahil siya ay lumaki na bilang Duterte. Napaligiran siya ng mga taong naglilingkod, no? Mula sa ama niya hanggang doon sa kanyang ate. No? Matindi paninindigan niya. Kung magsalita yan, pipikit ka, parang ama niya nagsasalita. Walang pagkakaiba.
For God and my beloved Philippines, I am Jason Rubrico, SMNI News.
Vice President Sara Duterte's surprise news about 3 Dutertes running for senator in the upcoming 2025 Philippine midterm elections is still the talk of the town, something that revived not only the Filipino public but also a former government official. According to this person, 3 Dutertes in the Senate will be a huge problem for those in the government who are guilty of the election of duty. This story from Sara Santos.
Three Dutertes are running for senator in the next Philippine elections. Are the people ready for this? Are the critics of the Dutertes also ready for this? Vice President Sara Duterte broke the surprise news while she was in Cagayan de Oro City recently, and people across the Philippines have not stopped talking about it. Former Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Attorney Salvador Panelo immediately reacted to this and warned that this could become a political storm that the detractors may not be able to contain nor survive. On the other hand, Attorney Panelo highlighted that the Filipino people were very much revived by the Vice President's announcement.
Alam mo, malaking bagay ito at yung mga tao, matagal nang inaantay nila pabalik na brand of Duterte leadership. Kaya nabuhayan sila. Di ba, matagal na silang nalulungkot sa pagdawala ng Presidente Duterte. Pero ngayon, masayang-masaya sila at babalik na ulit.
Attorney Panelo added that whether the Marcos Jr. administration likes it or not, it cannot avoid being compared by the public to the Duterte administration.
Hala siguro ang mga Duterte wala na. Tandaan nila na ang Pangulong Duterte hanggang ngayon ay napakalakas ng kanyang trust and popularity rating. At ang mga tao, whether you like it or not, nagkukumpara sa naging administrasyon ng Pangulong Duterte at ang administrasyon naman ng pangkasalukuyan. At it's sorry to say na talagang nagsasapit ang pangkasalukuyang administrasyon kung ikukumpara mo sa panahon ni Duterte.
Panelo couldn't help but comment that some people will surely not be happy once 3 Dutertes come to power.
Sigurado, ito parang demolition team to. Pag sila'y nahalal, ay may problema ngayon. yung mga may atraso sa bayan.
It's no secret that the Duterte brand of leadership is far different from others. Panelo has also repeatedly mentioned that Vice President Duterte has her own way of thinking and style of leadership. He said Filipinos know that the Dutertes have a political wit. They are honest, they speak frankly, and have nothing to hide, which is why they are much loved by the masses and are greatly sought after. However, there are some people that fear having a political dynasty in the event that Vice President Duterte's recent announcement comes true. Based on track records in the Philippines, there are constituencies that did not show much development after a government official is replaced by his or her spouse, son or daughter, and even other relatives. But for Attorney Panelo, the people have nothing to worry about in the event that the Dutertes hold multiple government positions simultaneously.
Doon sa lugar ng Davao, nakita naman na dati, ang patayan doon araw-araw. Pagkatapos, walang progreso. Pero nang ginawa ka ng Duterte yan, siya na ngayon sa pinaka magaling na syudad at kung saan ay mapayapa ang mga tao na namumuhay ng walang takot sa kanilang mga puso. At saka nakita mo naman na maunlad na ang Davao ngayon. Their records speak for themselves. Kaya tatanggapin sila ng taong bayan.
For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Sara Santos, SMNI News.
Up next, Julian Assange is home at last following more than a decade-long saga to dodge extradition after exposing American war crimes. The WikiLeaks founder and whistleblower is back in Australia after securing a plea deal with the US. And the United Nations raises alarm over the devastating flood in Brazil that displaced 500,000 people, killed dozens, and submerged various infrastructures. According to the UN, the climate catastrophe in the South American country is a warning to the world. Stay tuned for more news. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has returned to Australia after he pleaded guilty to a single felony charge in exchange for his freedom. His wife, Stella Assange, admitted that she's still angry about the years spent by her husband in jail and warned how the U.S. case could be used against the press in the future, which could compromise freedom of speech. Trisha Molina has the report.
As he faced the courthouse inside the U.S. territory in Saipan on Wednesday, Julian Assange pleaded guilty to a single felony charge for publishing U.S. military secrets in exchange for his freedom. The move was part of a deal signed by Assange and the U.S. government last week. The deal also involved the United States dropping its extradition request, but in return, Assange must instruct WikiLeaks to destroy classified information stored on its servers or devices. Hours later, his plane touched the Australian soil, marking the end of his 14-year-old legal battle, which saw him getting dragged forcefully from an embassy in Ecuador and isolated for years inside a maximum security prison in London. His lawyers called the prosecution unprecedented and an assault on free speech, while numerous experts and free speech advocates said he had been coerced into pleading guilty and that he should not have been prosecuted in the first place. Upon arrival in Australia, the WikiLeaks founder did not appear at a press conference arranged for him on Wednesday, in which his wife explained that her husband needed time to recover and finally grasp the reality that he is finally free. Stella Assange admitted she's still angry for the years Julian has suffered behind bars as a result of political persecution and accused some people in the United States of using him to bully everyone into submission. While facing the press and Julian supporters, Stella warned journalists, editors, and publishers about the danger of the U.S. case against Julian, which she said could be used in the future against the rest of the press and stifle freedom of speech. They will also launch a campaign to pay for the $520,000 debt Julian Assange owes from the Australian government for transporting him from London. Stella also announced his husband's plans to seek a presidential pardon following the guilty plea. Reporting, this has been Trisha Molina, SMNI News.
The United Nations urged Israel and Hezbollah to consider the escalation amid fierce tensions between them could spiral into an all-out war as cross-border exchanges escalate between the two warring neighbors. Gratia Mori has the news.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres voiced his concerns about the escalation between Israel and Hezbollah along the so-called Blue Line, which serves as the demarcation line dividing Lebanon from Israel and the Golan Heights. Guterres urged both sides to avoid the risk of conflict and warned that the international community cannot afford to see Lebanon become another Gaza, with many lives lost and people displaced from both sides.
Let's be clear. The people of the region and the people of the world cannot afford Lebanon to become another Gaza. On both sides of the Blue Line, many lives have already been lost. Tens of thousands of people have been displaced, and homes and livelihoods have been destroyed. Bushfires, sparked by explosions, are further devastating communities and the environment. Unexploded ordnance and remnants of war litter the landscape. And these pose additional threats to people in both Israel and Lebanon and to United Nations and humanitarian personnel. The parties must urgently recommit to the full implementation of Security Council Resolution 1701 and immediately return to a cessation of hostilities. Civilians must be protected.
Guterres warned further military escalation will only bring more suffering and devastation to communities in Lebanon and Israel. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced the intense phase of fighting Hamas in Gaza is almost over, with the ground operation in the southern Gaza city of Rafah to be completed soon. Netanyahu said Israeli troops are now starting to move to the northern border with Lebanon ready to confront Hezbollah. Israel Defense Forces Rear Admiral and spokesperson Daniel Hagari said Hezbollah's aggression is bringing both sides to the brink of war, with the Lebanon-based militant group to have fired more than 5,000 rockets at the Jewish state since October and is being used as a shield for Hamas.
The Hezbollah terror organization in Lebanon has been escalating its attacks against Israel. Since deciding to join the war that Hamas started on October 7th, Hezbollah has fired over 5,000 rockets, anti-tank missiles, and explosive UAVs from Lebanon at Israeli families, homes, and communities. Hezbollah's increasing aggression is bringing us to the brink of what could be a wider escalation, one that could have devastating consequences for Lebanon and the entire region. Hezbollah is jeopardizing the future of Lebanon so that it can be a shield for Hamas.
Meanwhile, Israel's military analysts have warned that an all-out war between Israel and Hezbollah will be catastrophic for both sides and could be 10 times worse than their previous war in 2006. Recently, thousands of fighters from Iran-backed groups offered to join Hezbollah to fight Israel. Reporting from Dubai, I'm Gratero Omori, your Global Citizen correspondent for SMNI News Channel.
The Prime Minister of Thailand dismissed claims by critics accusing him of selling the country following a government proposal to ease rules on foreign property ownership to attract overseas investments. Chad Mongan Pisamegozan reports.
A government proposal to raise the foreign ownership quota in condominiums and offer longer land leases received criticisms as tantamount to selling off the nation. Prime Minister Sethar Thavisin dismissed criticisms he is selling Thailand to foreigners. The statement was in response to a proposal by the Interior Ministry to increase foreign ownership from 49% to 75%, with leases extended for up to 99 years. In a recent meeting with government officials, several real estate organizations proposed to selectively apply the new foreign ownership rules to areas popular with foreigners such as Bangkok, Pattaya, and Phuket. Real estate executives in Thailand expressed support for the government's proposal as a way to boost the domestic economy and attract more foreign investments. Laws and regulations surrounding 100% foreign ownership have partly affected Thailand's position as the prime investment location. Dubbed Thailand salesman, Sethar vowed to prioritize direct investment and tourism as he inherited a stagnating economy during his reign. Reporting from Thailand, I'm Shadmongkom Bisamaikoson, your Global Citizens correspondent for SM9 News Channel.
The death toll from a devastating earthquake that rocked central Japan on New Year's Day is likely to increase after more indirect deaths were discovered, via Saito reports.
The number of deaths from the magnitude 7.5 earthquake that jolted the Noto Peninsula on the 1st of January is expected to reach 300. 18 more deaths are said to be recognized after the Ishikawa prefectural government and affected municipalities held a joint meeting related to the disaster. More than 1,000 families have applied for the said indirect deaths to be recognized, which will entitle them to receive with condolence money of up to 5 million yen. It is up to the affected municipalities to formally decide whether to recognize those indirect deaths. The negative impact of the devastating earthquake has reached up to 115 billion yen in the first quarter of 2024, but it will take years for the residents to fully recover. Reporting from Tokyo, Japan, this has been Ria Saito, your Global Citizen correspondent for God and our beloved country, the Philippines.
The United Nations warned record floods that killed more than 170 people and displaced 500,000 more in Brazil should serve as a warning to the world. David Lira has the story.
Floods blamed on climate change in southern Brazil were a premonition of more climate disasters expected to wreak havoc in different parts of the world, according to an official at the United Nations Refuge Agency. The intense rain and flooding displaced an estimated 389,000 people in the state of Rio Grande do Sul. Local officials described the severe weather as the worst disaster in the region's history. A flooded neighborhood in the state capital, Porto Alegre, was described as a ghost town by Andrew Harper, Special Advisor on Climate Actions to the Refuge Agency, UNHCR, during a visit to the area. The latest study made by the World's Weather Attribution Group blamed climate change for the extreme rainfall that caused destructive floods in Brazil's southern state of Rio Grande do Sul in April and May. This has been David Lira, your Global Citizen correspondent for SM9 News.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the Sun. The more you imbibe the Word of God in your life, the more you acquire riches in heaven. And that's all for this edition. For more news updates, you may visit smnichannel.com or follow us in official social media accounts on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Regarding country, the Philippines, I'm Frederico Velloso, and this is Newsline World.
Subscribe to SMNI News Channel and turn on the notifications